Greetings, this is TM3D-TV, I'm your host Sebastian, and welcome to On a Mission with Claire. This will be a new series for the channel, and in this first episode I will talk about the contents of it and what I have planned for it in the future. As the name suggests, this series will focus on playing the game with Claire, one of my favorite characters. But I have to say, she's one of the weaker characters. This is something which I always liked in the Mercenaries, to play with characters which are subpar and are not necessarily the optimal choice for any given stage you're playing on. But it gives me great pleasure to play with such characters and see how far you can get with them. There is a good challenge in it, and it has a lot to do with planning what is best, planning the overall run itself, and also looking for the right skills and the right weapon setup for that character. These are some of the things that I'm going to talk about in this series for whatever map I'm playing, and especially for Claire, but this will also be helpful for other characters which are not the optimal choice and which are basically below the power level of the strongest characters in the game. So what I will do in this series is play each and every map on the circuit, starting with Mission 4-1 and then moving up, and play them all with Claire and try to get a good score on each of these maps. For the first round I will do it in a chronological order, so I can show you every map with Claire and find out for myself what is working and what isn't. So this first round will probably not be about kind of getting the highest score possible, but just get a good feeling for each of these maps. And then in the future, once I basically did a run for every map, I will revisit some of them and try to kind of maximize the score and just get a better score on it, and maybe break the scores from the first round, or maybe not, I don't know. We'll see. So this will be an ongoing series for sure, and I will always add commentary to these runs, and just like I said, share with you my thoughts and talk about the runs themselves as well. So let me talk about Claire first before I get into this specific run, because I want to share some general things about Claire you might not know, and some of the differences and special things about her in this game. The most important factor to determine the power level of a character is the melee setup of that character. So with Claire, she has a very, I think, well-rounded melee setup. The speed of them is pretty good. However, the damage output is on the low side, and that is basically true for every female character in this game. The melee moves of the females, they are weaker than the ones of the males, which I think makes sense from a physical standpoint that Capcom decided to do it that way. She has, however, no instant kill melee, which a lot of the other characters have, so that makes her a lot weaker in that sense. And for people who don't know what an instant kill melee is, it basically, with that melee, it doesn't matter if you damaged an opponent, it will always kill on the first hit. On top of that, these instant kill melees also cancel mutations. And what mutations are is sometimes when you hit an enemy, they will spawn a parasite, which can take quite a lot of damage. So they are very annoying, and it also makes it difficult to melee kill and get the extra time bonus from the melee. So you want to prevent these mutations if you can. Besides having pretty weak melees, damage-wise, Claire has a very special ability with two of her melee moves, and these are the front leg stun melee and the head stun melee. So these melees consist of two stages. The front leg stun, for example, is an uppercut followed by a hook, and the head melee is a combination of two punches followed by a high kick. So what you can do is, once you're in the first stage of either of these melees, is move around while the melee animation is going on, and then it will cancel and you will not perform the second stage of that melee, and you can move around freely after canceling out. That can be very helpful because the first stage of these melees is very fast, and fast melee animations are pretty much always good. They are, however, very weak damage output wise, so it's not possible to set that up on every map. As for this map, for example, you see me using the stomp mostly, so I'm shooting the enemies to the ground and stomping them, and only on certain occasions you see me use the uppercut from the leg stun front mainly. Another very special thing for her is that her leg stun back melee, which is a neck kick, will cancel mutations. So that's very interesting because it's not an instant kill melee, but nonetheless it will cancel mutations on enemies which would otherwise spawn a parasite. And what's even more interesting with that melee is that if there's an enemy that has a lit dynamite, typically once you kill them the dynamite will go off, but if you use the neck kick it kind of will cancel the dynamite. So that's really interesting. I don't know if that was on purpose and what the reason for that is, but yeah, I take it nonetheless. It's something which can be very helpful on certain maps. On top of that, also the headstun melee will cancel mutations, which is again very interesting because that melee is not an instant kill. So I remember from back in the day I played Mission 4-2, which has quite a lot of parasite mutations. But when I used that melee there were no mutations at all. So yeah, that is something which is quite unique for Claire, I think. And maybe during this series we will discover more of these things. So I'm actually very interested in seeing what I can learn from playing all these different maps just with Claire. In terms of her two outfits, which give different damage and healing properties, the first outfit, which is her standard outfit you see in this run, she heals up quite a lot, but she also takes a lot of damage. And I think this outfit is only advised for maps where you can basically avoid to being hit mostly. I think I'm only getting hit once in this run, so then it's perfectly fine. But on maps where you get hit constantly, I would rather take the second outfit, which is a suit outfit, and that one doesn't take as much damage. And yeah, so that is way better on these types of maps. So let's talk about this run now. I want to take the last few minutes of this run and talk about this and say that I'm actually very happy to present such a high score to you. So like I said, this is the first round on these maps, and this is probably one of the better maps where Claire performs really well. I was, however, not expecting that I would get a 1100k run with Claire, so that was very surprising. But after trying out a bunch of different ways to play this map and noticing that there's quite a lot of potential with her, yeah, I was very surprised. I remember that I played with Jill back in the day getting 1088k, but now that I have this run, I think it's safe to say that Claire performs better than Jill. So in this situation, you see me take down the Gyarados, and this is kind of a very delicate thing that you have to get right. So basically when he jumps over the fence, you have to throw a grenade at the right time. So in the moment he lands, the grenade will detonate and he will fall down to the ground. There's only a small time window where this works consistently, and it's very important because if that goes not so well and you will not fall to the ground, it can be really a run breaker and yeah, can completely mess you up. Besides the difficulties you might have with the Gyarados on this map, I think this is the easiest map overall in the game, and it's very good for training. In this case with Claire, you see me kind of shoot down two enemies directly after each other very often, so I can stomp them in quick succession, which is very great. It's also very fast how the melee timing for Lucky 7 works with these double stomps, so yeah, that's a great technique. And in this run, I think overall it was a very good run. The Lucky 7 consistency was great. There are, however, some situations in the mid-run where I could have done a little bit better, but, you know, there are always some problems in these runs, and you cannot expect them to go 100% your way. I mean, this is kind of where the fun part of this game comes from, like waiting for this one perfect run and then kind of make it all work and perform like you should. I will very likely revisit this map in the future, because after rewatching this run a couple of times and also playing some other runs after this recording, I noticed that there is way more potential. In this run I end with 14 minutes and 28 seconds, and I think it's safe to say that it's possible to end with 15 minutes 30 at least, which is quite ridiculous. I did not expect that. But for now, this is the highest recorded score with Claire. So this is the world record. I'm happy about this. And with that, I leave you. And until the next time, may God bless you and the grace of Lord Jesus Christ be with you. And be well.